Hi, I'm Katlyne COF. Now, for a minute, I'd like you to imagine every time you turn on a TV, open a book, a magazine, you don't understand what's written. You don't understand what's going on. Why do I ask you to do this? I want to put you into a perspective so you'll understand what I'm talking about today. Because my topic is about the lack of acknowledgement of asexuality in the media. And why I'm choosing this is because, one, the overall lack of the acknowledgement is appalling. I personally do identify as asexual, and I have asked myself for years why I do not feel the way other people do. The definition of being asexual means someone that does not feel a sexual attraction. And the second reason is because of all the harmful mental and emotional effects it has on the asexual population. Now, for my first point, when you look into the media, say you look at a TV show, movie, book, there aren't a lot of asexual characters. One, if there is, it's usually speculated. A popular character in a popular series, in the Harry Potter series, Charlie Weasley, he is speculated as being asexual, but only because of a parting comment J.K. Rowling made saying he likes dragons more than people. Now, how this causes an effect on mental and emotional health is one, it causes questioning why we don't feel certain ways that other people do. Are we broken? Or is there just something wrong with us? From an article that Williams College wrote on their LGBT+ website, said, sadly, there are asexuals who feel out of place and broken due to the lack of general knowledge concerning asexuality and cultural portrayals of sex and sexuality. You can't turn on a TV, look at a magazine or a book, and not see some reference to sex, such as the Carl's Jr. commercial that's showing a model eating a giant cheeseburger. Next, the belief that they are broken or something is wrong with them is very damaging to the mindset. On the Asexual Visibility and Education Network, abbreviated as AVEN, they have a frequently asked question page. And one of the statements on that page is, I don't like being asexual. I want to be normal, like everyone else. Normal. I want to feel normal. I want to feel like everybody else. This could stem from some of the naysayers that say asexuality is not a true sexual orientation, such as some listed on Stephen Betchin's article, Asexuality and Outcoming Sexual Orientation. Asexuality is labeled as a denial of one's natural sexuality, generalized low libido, or result of a sexual anxiety or shame, such as sexual aversion disorder or hyposexual desire disorder. The lack of acknowledgement also can cause feelings of rejection. Another frequently asked question from Aben, I can never tell people about this. They think I was a freak or laugh at me. I myself have had thoughts like this. If I don't like someone like how my friend likes them, they're just gonna make fun of me. They're gonna laugh at me. I can't tell them. Also, a thought. Does being asexual mean I'll always be lonely? Someone won't want me because I don't want to have sex with them? Also, one of the characteristics that Betchin found of asexuals is social anxiety, and depression. I do suffer from social anxiety, and it's tough. It's not solely linked to my sexuality, but I do experience it. And also, according to an AVEN poll from 2011, 20.64% of the poll said they attempted suicide. 4.84% said their sexuality was one of the main factors. In the end, I know this can't be changed in one day. I'm not asking for it to be changed in one day. I'm a realist. But I want to let people know that you can't expect to not acknowledge something and not see the effects that are happening. You can't ignore something and expect everything to be okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the visualization at the beginning was a little confusing, but I appreciate the idea that you're trying to get us to see the world in a different way. The topic that you've got is acknowledged. The claim needs to be more sharply stated. I know that there's general argument that there's a lack of acknowledgement of this, but the term that you use is appalling, and that sounds to me like a value claim rather than a claim of fact. So the argument that failure to acknowledge it is causing some kind of harm would probably be the way you want to phrase this claim. So the lack of acknowledgement undermines asexual people, that it causes social problems for asexual people, or something along those lines would be a clearer expression of the proposition that you're talking about. It starts off sounding like you're going to be organized with a structure, but you only label the first point and there's no preview of what the supporting points are going to be, so that hurts a little bit on the organizational issues. You raise a lot of questions and you kind of give us a good context on some of the issues that are faced by people who feel this way, and I think I have a greater appreciation of that perspective as a consequence, but I'm not exactly sure that I understand the conflict on this, and I'm not sure you've addressed some of the conflicts that you yourself have brought up. For example, at the end when you mentioned the issue of that other people have different explanations. They say asexual behavior is related to low libido. It's related to the disorientation, or there was some other term that got used in there, and it's a denial of their sexuality for a variety of social and psychological reasons. Well, saying that those people have this explanation and they're wrong doesn't show that you're right. And by the way, I think you need to show that they are wrong. You need to show that these explanations are inadequate to describe what people who are in this classification truly feel. And this is one of the things where I think that you need some psychological and medical data to support this position, some people who define it this way. Your own definition of asexuality has no authority or source to it at all. And so if you're going to make an argument about this and it's in the field of psychology, I would assume that there would be some information from people who are knowledgeable about this subject who could take the position that you're taking, that this isn't a disorder, it is just a condition, that it's been misclassified or it's being interpreted incorrectly. That's, I think, the position that you want to take to make this much more clearly argumentative, as opposed to merely being informative about the situation. I liked the fact that you mentioned what some of the potential problems were. I kind of thought there was an interesting, vague reference to the character in Harry Potter. I appreciated that. I thought that was interesting. The truth of the matter is, that most of the Harry Potter characters, you don't think that much about their sexuality. I guess that maybe the Order of the Phoenix and the Half-Blood Prince, you get a little bit of that. But most of the time, I don't. Who's dating who and who's not dating who and whether they've ever been married. That was never one of those questions that came up. And in fiction, I think that's one of the things that presents a problem for people who identify as asexual. One of the reasons that they may not see themselves depicted much in media is because most fiction is written about other kinds of relationships, including romantic relationships, which seem to be undermined by this. And I thought you had an interesting question at the end. Does this mean I will be lonely? That's one of the questions that people who identify as asexual might ask in this site. And I'm going, well, that's a pretty good question. Is that in fact what it means? Do relationships exist successfully? Long-term partnerships or friendships, for instance, between people that can survive without the sexual component in the relationship. I know marriages, there might be some that work out in that way, but like I said, I think you need a little bit more data on this. It's kind of an introduction to the subject more than it is an argument about the subject, and that makes it a little bit problematic. I thought that you spoke pretty effectively about it, and you clearly express yourself in an authoritative way when you're talking about it. But like I said, I think there needs to be a little bit more data here to help support the position that you're taking. All right, thank you.